what are the different stages of product development. As I
So,
mentioned in the previous sessions also, the first thing is to develop an idea, because idea is the basis of any product development. So first you have to generate ideas. So that's the first step towards product development. Now the question is, how does these ideas get generated? Where do these ideas come from? So the answer to this question is ideas can come from any source, but the best way to generate ideas consumer is to study the consumer lifestyle, is to study the routine life of a consumer, is to study the market. So only by doing marketing research, through marketing research, you get to learn about the needs of the consumer, the existing market, what are the products available in the market. So after you reflect upon all these concepts, you would be able to generate some ideas. So that's very important, because idea needs to be translated into a product, for which the best thing to do is to reflect upon the routine life of a consumer. So in our day-to-day life, what are the challenges we go through? What are our needs? What are our activities? So when you reflect upon all this critically, definitely you will figure out some idea that can help you to develop a product. So that's the most important step. Most important step is to reflect upon the lifestyle and routine life process of any consumer. So once you develop an idea, the next step is to screen those ideas, evaluate those ideas, and see how practical the idea is what you have developed. Will it really work out or not? So a couple of years back, I was reflecting upon one area of mobility or transportation, I would rather call it as, which is actually which has actually been ignored for a long period of time. Because when we talk about mobility or transportation, especially public transportation, we have various modes of transportation. We have transportation based on the needs, but there is one area which is being overlooked by big organizations. So big organizations have ventured into public transport. So usually public transport is taken care or administrated or offered by the government. But of course, there are private players also in public transportation system. So when we especially talk about passenger transport, right, you have airlines in which you have both public as well as private as well as government enterprises, government companies. When we talk about roadways, yes, you have both private as well as the government. But I'm talking about the local transport, the city transport. So when you reflect upon the city transportation, yes, of course, again, there also you have different modes, whether it is your metro, whether it is your BMTC, right, or whether it is your cabs that are available. But I felt that there can be a business model that can be developed around transportation of school children, because this seems to be a gray area. Because when we see school transportation, generally there are only two sources here. One is the schools or the educational institutions themselves who provide this facility. An alternative to this is the private arrangement, which usually parents have to make with the auto rickshaw drivers or the van drivers, right? So when we say school transportation system offered by the school, of course, it has certain limitations. On the other hand, the transportation which is done through mutual understanding with the auto drivers as well as these van drivers has serious set of limitations. So why is it not possible to develop an application similar to what Ola and Uber has for school transportation? So why can't we operate an aggregator based model, what Ola and Uber does, but exclusive for schools? Now this has its own benefits because even when you consider schools, schools and other educational institutions have to spend crores of rupees on buying buses, right? If you want to buy transport vehicles, you have to spend lakhs and crores. So depending on your volume of operations, if you have somewhere around, let's say 6,000 to 7,000 students in your educational institution, so at least you need 20 to 25 buses on which you need huge amount of investment. So it's a huge amount of investment for educational institutions also. And some of the educational institutions do not offer bus facility as well because it's quite a hassle, right? It's not just investing huge amount of money, but maintenance, ensuring the safety, security, following up with drivers. It's all a very hectic task. So why not outsource to a particular agency who will manage your transportation system? So why not develop a business model in which you as an organization, you as a company, you as a marketer is giving transportation system to schools, colleges, and other educational institutions. So this is the idea which I was contemplating on a couple of years back. So that's an idea. So how did I get an idea? It's simple. When you're obviously either going early morning to your college or when you're coming back, you do see students, especially the school kids, struggling with their transportation. So that's how I got an idea. Okay, why not reflect on this? So that's the source, right? So when you reflect upon the routine process, you get some ideas as to what can be done. So I have figured out a problem and now it needs to be screened. Will this idea really work out? Is it really possible to have an aggregator model like Ola or Uber for schools? So you have to do an evaluation of that idea. Now, once you evaluate your idea, you have to develop a strategy to translate your idea into what is called as product development. So you need to develop a marketing strategy wherein you need to figure out how are you going to translate your idea into a reality. So you have to figure out what is the strategy, what is the so strategy will include all your different aspects like finance, how will you fund, how will you raise the funds, how will you do the promotion, how will you create sales. So all this question needs to be answered under marketing strategy development. And once you develop the strategy, then you also need to do an evaluation. So when we say evaluation, you have to basically, this evaluation is purely in terms of numericals. So you have to figure out how much is the budget, how long will it take for you to recover your investment, what is the prospects of profitability. You have to do cash flow estimation, you have to prepare a capital budget, try to translate that into profits, right? How long will it take for you to generate profits? What is the risk factors? All that evaluation needs to be done. And then finally, after evaluation, you develop the product. And test marketing is also important just to see the practical aspect of the product, whether once implemented, the product will have any flaws. So that needs to be figured out in test marketing. And if test marketing is successful, then you go for commercialization. So from idea to commercialization, these are the series of steps. So in market strategy development, you're trying to figure out different techniques, tactics to reach out to the customers. So you have basically drafting a plan in which you're figuring out who are your target customers, how are you going to reach them, what would be your promotional strategy, how will you advertise. So all these marketing activities are noted down and you have to basically draw a plan as to which marketing activity will be accomplished through what means. But when we say business evaluation, it's purely in terms of financial evaluation. So these are the typical stages of new product development. Now, there is one more product which has off late gained a lot of attention and it's also gaining up a lot of momentum. And the reason is traffic, right? So traffic is something which we all don't like. We don't like to get stuck in traffic. And especially if you're living in a metro city like Bangalore or any other metro city in the world, not just in India, traffic is a bottleneck. So what can be done to solve this issue of traffic? Of course, Many solutions have been identified, which includes your metro uh, or any other mode of transport which can carry. I mean, it should be a mass transportation system capable of carrying huge amount of people. So many ideas have been developed over a period of time, but there's one sector, there's one area which remains unexplored. And if this really becomes a reality, then it'll be a revolution in the transportation system. So let's see this. Let's watch a brief video which talks to you about the idea of a new innovative way of transportation.
Some 20 years from now, more than 2/3 of the world's population will live in cities, and many in mega cities with more than 10 million residents. One of the drawbacks will be gigantic congestion. Many cities are already facing that, where time has become an increasingly rare commodity. So Airbus and Italdesign have linked up in a groundbreaking venture to imagine solutions, and the concept they've come up with is called Pop-Up.
Pop-Up is a new mobility concept. It's multimodal. It combines ground with the air. It allows passengers a seamless and faster way getting from A to B using the city sky. It's a partnership between the airspace and the automotive sector. Two powerful sectors that comes together to develop new technology, new concepts for the future of smart cities.
What they've come up with is a modular concept that can both fly autonomously using electricity and travel on street level or even on other modes of transport, such as hyperloops. Using an app, passengers will be able to order the two-seater capsules from the airport or train station, for example, to their final destination using this kind of transportation system.
I think right now the urban sky is quite underutilized, and that's exactly the proposition. The grid-like layout of road doesn't actually do it for us. We think that by combining air and ground, we will get a much better use of the space that we have in our cities.
While for the time being the project is a concept, something which looks very similar to this could be a reality within 7 to 10 years from now, because Airbus, with its extraordinary We Make It Fly know-how, and Italdesign, one of the most innovative players in the auto industry, are highly ambitious. Who knows what other partnerships could emerge?
Well, we think that both companies believe really in finding the best solutions for people in future mega cities or in generally in transport. So Airbus is doing this on their way, in their field, and we are doing it on our ground-bounded transportation, so trains and automobiles. So when we combine these skills into a research partnership, what it is, then we find very dedicated people on both sides. And we wanted to make sure that we take down the boundaries between these different specialities and find the best solution for future megacities. And with this idea, we came up with a concept that combines the best of both worlds.
So as you saw, the idea is such an important factor in product development. So idea has to be feasible, right? And idea has to have definitely good business prospects. And that's what we find in case of air taxis, which would soon become a reality. And probably Dubai will be the first, UAE will be the first country to have this so-called air taxis, right? So that's the reason it's very important to kind of reflect upon ideas, because ideas will actually help you to figure out what is missing and what is the need of the product that needs to be developed to address a certain issue.